going on, YouTube? Muzak Rider here. Just cruising down to visit my family like I usually do on Thursdays. It was pretty hot today, actually, unfortunately, for Long Beach. But it's cooling down nicely. Sorry I haven't posted anything for a couple weeks. I actually shot the video, this topic that I'm going to do right now, last week, but I wasn't happy with the way it turned out when I went back and watched it, so I just figured I'd reshoot it. I didn't really have any time in between then to do another one, so I figured I'd just wait until I do my usual Thursday cruise. But anyway, that topic is the 250/300 versus 600 for your first bike if you're looking at sport bikes. And I just wanted to drop my 2 cents in on the subject. It seems to be a pretty widely discussed topic on YouTube. A lot of different videos on it, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to throw a little more opinion in there. So I'm kind of the mindset that if you know that you're going to keep it real for the first couple of days, couple weeks or so that you have a 600 Super Sport, then go ahead and get a 600 Super Sport for your first bike. Not a big deal. This is my first bike. It's a 03 CBR 600 RR, and I found it to be a fantastic starter bike. But let me tell you a little bit kind of how I got into riding and just the little experience that I had before I got it. So back in January I did do MSF. I did the weekend course at my local community college, which included about 8 hours of riding or so. So I did that. That was on a Kawasaki Eliminator 125. Kind of a heavy bike. It was not the lightest thing. And the balance to me wasn't that great, which I didn't like it. But anyway, so I did that. And then a couple months later, maybe a few months later, I guess, maybe April or so, my mom's client's husband found out that I wanted to get a motorcycle, and he has a little Rebel 250 that he's using to teach his wife how to ride, and he very kindly offered to take me for a spin on it just to kind of get reacquainted with motorcycles, because obviously it had been a few months since I'd ridden one. So we did that for a day. We started out in the parking lot and just did some of those warm-ups, some of the exercises you do at MSF. And so that was an all-day thing. And then a couple weeks later I bought this. So before I got it, I really didn't have much riding experience. I never really did dirt. The only thing I'd ever ridden was ATVs and jet skis, and obviously that doesn't count because there's no shifting or anything like that. It's not on public roads. So I didn't have very much experience coming into this, and it was a great starter bike. Now I took it real easy when I first got it. I stayed in my neighborhood, with the exception of getting gas for the first couple of days. Now part of that was because I was working on getting it insured, and I had to do the DMV thing just to get it registered in my name and all that stuff. So I didn't want to take it out on public roads uninsured and not registered and stuff. So, but a couple of days later I was going on the street and stuff, and that was great. And then I went with the same guy on this bike, and we did another day of practice and exercises and stuff, which was awesome. And I'm still on it and good to go. You know, it's been an awesome bike. I've really been able to kind of grow into it, and it never really felt like there was too much. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a lot of power and they will go if you want them to, but I felt very comfortable when I first got on it. The hardest thing for me was getting used to the clutch, because on these they're a little bit less forgiving than on, you know, like the Rebel 250 or even probably one of the Ninja 500s or something like that. But I don't know, it's been great, and I love that I got this bike for my first bike. But if you don't think you're going to be able to keep it real, you know, for the first little while that you have it, maybe a week or two, then I would highly recommend you don't get one of these as your first bike, because they can get you into trouble. They, for the most part, I think they'll do 0 to 60 in around 3 seconds or so. So it's a little bit of a rocket ship that you're sitting on, so you definitely have to be cautious when you first get on it. The throttle can be, they're sensitive, so it can get out from under you if you're not careful. But if you are careful, I think it's a great starter bike, especially the CBR. So thanks, dog. Appreciate it. I was probably going a little fast anyways. But, you know, there are a couple other things to think about too, you know, when you're considering, you know, a super sport or just a sport bike for your first bike. One is kind of where you live. If you live in a bigger city, you know, like LA or something like that, or New York or whatever, it might be beneficial to have a smaller bike because, first of all, you're never really going to be able to use that power unless you go for a long cruise out of the city, and they don't get as good of gas mileage as the smaller bikes do, or just the regular sport bikes. So that's something to consider as well. You still get that sporty look, but it's going to be, you're going to have a more upright riding position as well. It might be a little bit more comfortable for you. So that's something to think about as well. They don't, I think the sport bikes as opposed to super sport, they don't get as hot as far as I know. So that's another benefit. I know this thing can get up to 225, 230 even in traffic or just around town when I've been on it for a while. And I need to get over the double yellow here. I'm gonna do that. There we go. Now I got a lane. This is pretty much a lane for me. I love it. Man, people are driving tight together today. That was some interesting lane splitting. Usually it's a little bit more open. People aren't moving to the side for me like they usually do. They usually do. Blah, 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 blah. Where vomit? But anyway, that's just a couple other things to think about. So, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on the subject. I figure it wouldn't hurt to throw another opinion out into the mix there. But yeah, long story short, if you think you're gonna keep it real and you're gonna be able to handle the power of a 600, go for it. I love mine. I absolutely adore this bike, and it was definitely the best move I've ever made. I'm really glad I didn't get anything else. But if you don't think you're gonna be able to keep it real, you can get a 300. Or a 250, or a 500, or a 650. It's one of the less race-tuned bikes, if you will. You might find that to be a little bit more beneficial. And you know what? You can always upgrade. You really can. You can always upgrade. So there's that too. Oh, one more thing too. If you're doing a lot of freeway commuting, it might be better to get a more powerful bike. My buddy got a 250 for his first bike, and he said it felt dangerously underpowered on the freeway. So that's something else to consider. But anyway, that's going to be today's topic. So if you liked it, go ahead and sub or hit the like button. And if you didn't like it, then don't hit the button, I guess. But anyway, I will talk to you later, guys. Ride safe.